No, look. There should be less of me.
You said that.
You can say that. He can say it.
Look,
I can say that shit too.
Everybody should say that.
Yes. You ready to roll?
Should we do this?
All right, we'll be right back.
All right, we'll be back in just a few seconds.
Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, promotional products and design. They cover your brand bumper to bumper with graphic design, promo products, and print. See what Dire Oil Graphics can build for you at direoil.com. That's DYEROIL.com.
Cliche that says it's noon somewhere. It is noon where they are.
It is noon where they are. Welcome to Beers with Nigel. I'm Nigel. That's Nick.
I'm that other guy.
It's a show about beer and other stuff and other things and
whatever.
This is definitely an other things stuff episode. Welcome to the show, Ashley and Jasmine, aka the Cider Jawns.
Yeah, we got to unravel that mystery.
Yeah, so I was telling. So before we get started, I was telling somebody you guys were coming on the show, and they thought I said the Cider Jawns. I'm like, no, that's not. So, for those, because obviously I had to Google that shit. For those who don't know, who would like to explain what Jawns means?
I'm actually really curious. When you Googled it, what did you find?
Well, I spelled it correctly, and it came up, and it said something that cannot really put a label to or be described, or something like that, along those lines. No?
Interesting. I was just curious because I've never really looked it up.
That's the best answer.
No, because it's a slang word. It's a Philly slang word, and we kind of use it as a noun. It can refer to a person, place, or a thing.
Right.
That's kind of the easiest way to explain it. So we're Jawns. We're on a Jawn.
We're going to the Jawn.
Exactly.
So it can mean whatever.
It can mean whatever.
So is that native to Philly?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've grown up saying it my whole life, but I don't want to be arrogant and think that just because it's here that it's only here. But I think it is.
I think it's
I'm
only
originally from New Jersey, so when I got to Philly, people had to explain to me what a Jawn was, and it was explained to me that way. It's a noun, person, place, or thing.
Okay, so
there we go.
I'm gonna start using that shit here in Kansas City. Watch,
we're gonna make it happen.
We about to do that Jawn thing. You know what I'm saying?
It might take a while to catch on, but I have faith in you.
All we got is time.
It's almost like when I lived in New Orleans. One of the words it's only used down there. It's lanyap, and it means something. It means a little something extra, like a baker's dozen. So not 12, you get 13. So, they'd be like, you want that lanyap? Yes, I do. So you always say yes to lanyap because it's something extra. It's not a bad thing.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah. Right. So I brought it up here.
We have to have a new segment.
Get that lanyap.
Yeah. new segment on the show.
And people I tell people, how do you spell it? They're like, I have no idea. So it's Lagniappe. It's French.
Oh.
As New Orleans. Yeah. So yeah,
I'm never gonna remember that.
Lanyap?
No, how to spell it.
Well,
I'm not gonna remember how to spell it, but it is fascinating. Okay.
Yes. Just throw that out on somebody sometime. But I'm gonna give you that lanyap. They'll be like, what? So ladies, let's talk about the Cider Jawns. How did you guys get together? Obviously, who are the Cider Jawns first? Let's talk about that.
I'm Ashley. That's Jasmine.
And I'm Jasmine.
Yep.
We met in college. We were college roommates our junior and senior year.
What college are we talking about?
St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. So we met in Philly. So like I said, I'm from Jersey, Jazz from Philly. We met at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia in 2006.
Oh, you did not have to tell them that.
I just want them to know how
dangerous.
Like y'all are fine. Y'all are fine.
Yeah. So we were college roommates. We partied a lot together. So
my drinking buddy.
And we still are. Look, we made it.
That's awesome.
Well, I think that leads to the obvious question then. Was it cider? Were you drinking
I mean,
ciders then?
back then.
Not in
Well, it
college.
started with a handle of Bacardi Green Apple.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
And we elevated
That's
our
a night in
palate.
itself.
Woo, that
Was all that, and oh my God, what did I used to love me some a Perry Bay. I love Perry Bay.
Oh, yeah.
So it started with that, and then we just kind of gradually elevated our palates.
Yes, because we also, I guess, Natty Light was the thing.
Ooh,
Well, look.
I mean,
The economics of college life, right?
Yes.
I mean, you whatever the
Yes.
cheapest suitcase you can buy, that's what you're
Yes.
getting.
Natty
Yes.
Light was definitely a thing. So
I will say this. You're probably the first sisters that I've ever met that have actually admitted that they drank Natty Light.
so we went to a PWI, I guess.
right, and that's what's there. So when someone's like, "Oh, you go to the party because we want to hang," so we go to the parties, and that's what's there in the red cup. So I'm like, "All right, I'll try it." That was my introduction to beer. Really. Yeah.
What's that?
Predominantly white institution as opposed to the HBCUs.
Yeah,
I was just going to call that America.
You know what? I've never heard. I pretty much knew what you were going with there, but I've never heard that. And
I hadn't heard that as an acronym.
That was my college as well, so I get it. So
Yeah.
I don't love using the term. I feel like it's divisive.
I've actually never heard it in my whole
It
life.
is what it is. I think that's a way to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I'm gonna start using that shit too. Jawns and PWIs. I'm up in this PWI brewery. What the fuck?
That's a great way to steer that
Predominantly
conversation.
white school. So instead of saying all that, so you just call it PWI.
I do like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we started there with our cheap liquor and our nasty beer, and we grew up and started.
Natty Light.
Oh no, Natty has a. You know what? You're right. That was rude.
I don't know if you can throw Bacardi in the same level as Natty Light. I mean, I still keep Bacardi in the house.
Oh yeah.
When's the last time y'all had?
Those brands are like they're affordable,
Right?
For what we had at the time.
Right.
You got to keep it around for the people you don't want drinking your good stuff.
I was getting ready to say it right. If I'm gonna make like I don't know, some kind of punch or something, then maybe I'll have that right. But
that's funny because if I'm making a jungle juice, I'm actually not buying Bacardi. I'm buying a name that nobody's ever heard of. That's expensive for that.
Some Russian name, right?
Even when I make my coquito, I use sometimes Bacardi.
I would use like what is it? Pop Off? Is that Vladimir?
Yeah. The Russian shit.
Oh Jesus!
Wait a minute, there's Russian rum.
But they make everything
vodka.
over there.
That's vodka, yeah.
They make all the brands. Yeah. So when's the last time y'all had a Natty Light?
College.
2006.
way back. You left it behind.
So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
2010.
That's generous.
That's generous.
Right. Some say right.
I think I remember the party. It was a frat party, and I was like, I'm never drinking this again. It was that bad.
Yeah.
Wow, is the part most people I always think of like when you make that switch when you're like, I'm not doing the bad beer anymore.
Yeah.
It's it's when you get that first job and you're like, oh, that's a real live paycheck.
Right.
She's like, no, I remember the party. That's when I said no.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, what
because
you drinking
I tell
there?
people, yeah. Oh yeah, what are you drinking, friend?
So I love Graft Ciders Farm Floor. I've been drinking.
Oh, I drank mine the other day. I had
this is my last one. I also have our, just in case, our Ancho and Beer Culture.
Oh, okay.
So we got a scholarship from this to go to Cider Fest. So I also have this on hand to drink
as you should.
Double fisting, I guess. Yeah.
So
I got to know about the scholarship. Where'd you get the scholarship?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Oh goodness, Jazz, you want to tell them about the scholarship?
Sure. So we went to CiderCon, and we were going to CiderCon. We got asked to come to CiderCon as media because of the Cider Jawns, our page. They wanted, media people there, and we were just kind of looking around, and we found that Ancho Cider, in collaboration with Beer Culture, they had this scholarship that covered your registration for CiderCon, your travel, and like your hotel stay while you're down there, as well as the first 2 levels of the exam that you can take so that you can be like a certified cider person, be like super official. And so we applied, we had to write an essay, we had to do an interview, it was official tissue, and we were one of 3 people chosen for it. So it was really exciting. I know.
That's awesome.
That is
that's
fantastic.
great.
All minority women too. So
Yes. It was specifically for people of color, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So let's back up a little bit. So at what point, we had Parrot Bay, we had Bacardi.
This is a journey.
I'm gonna laugh every time you say Parrot Bay, by the way.
So at what point did you guys decide, we're drinking buddies, but we're friends. We like cider. At what point did you say, hey, let's go in together and start making this shit? Where did that start?
Oh, that started in 2019, 18, when we went to cider. We went to Pour the Core in Philadelphia at the Navy Yard. It's like a cider fest. Jasmine and I, before that, we went to like a margarita march, and we were going on like these, like, I don't know, drinking
like
tours.
Rum runs. It's like
rum runs, margarita. Then we saw the cider fest. So we're like, oh, well, we both like cider, so let's check this out. We got there, saw that a lot of the people that were there, the patrons, were women. A lot of them were people of color, but none of the vendors were either.
Gotcha.
So while we were there, we were like, we can do this. So we literally went back to my apartment and started homebrewing cider in my little, box apartment. And that's kind of how it started. Like, we enjoyed ourselves at CiderCon so much that it was just like, this is so good. Why can't we do this? Like, and especially seeing that there was no representation of us there. Like, there's a market for us to be here. So there's people there like us that are enjoying it, partaking in it. Right. I know Jasmine has family and friends and so do I, that also enjoy cider. So that's how we knew that, like, oh, let's go to Cider Fest, because we were drinking cider like in our individual lives. So it was just like, all right, well, we can do this. And as we were, once we started, it became like a fun thing to do. Like, after my like 9 to 5, I look forward to going home and home brewing. And we would be up to like,
oh God,
in the middle of the night in here trying to figure out how to brew. And then once we got the hang of it, like, we were going to orchards, picking apples, juicing apples in my apartment, trying to figure out what kind of blends we like. Then, getting the certain types of yeast and just playing around with a whole lot of things. So it kind of just like started as like, oh, let's see. And then just grew from there.
That's I love that story.
That's awesome.
I mean, she was like, we went to a fest and we thought we're gonna brew some shit.
We can do this.
So what was the first thing y'all brewed, and how did that turn out?
It wasn't that bad. I think
that bad.
No. You know what it was? I think it gave us, I don't want to say a false sense of confidence, because it went shockingly well, that we felt like, oh, we're going to have something in the stores in a month or two. And we haven't been able to replicate that first batch since. It's been like a year.
And you know what? I think also a lot of mainstream,
I don't know what we did. I don't.
A lot of mainstream cider is very sweet. So
yes.
We came into it thinking like, oh, we're going to be able to do this, not realizing like what it takes to get a sweet cider. So
that's also carbonated.
Right. And so that's also carbonated. So we had to learn, the back sweetening and all those kinds of things to make our cider sweet, or to try to give it some flavor. But yeah, our first couple of batches, it was, I guess you would call it like a dry cider, basically.
Right.
But more so a dry cider, which we hadn't gotten into like the craft cider yet until we started visiting other cideries and other cider companies. And it's like, oh, well, we basically did make this in my kitchen. So after all,
so you didn't even know you were like doing what other people were doing. You guys were doing what you were doing.
No, we were kind of comparing what we were making to the cider we like drinking, and like, what are we doing wrong? Like, why can't we bring this, especially like the flavor profile? Like, why can't we bring this up? And once we had to hit pause learn. So we're in cider school now, and we've taken classes prior to this. And it's like, oh, okay, it's because we don't have the equipment yet. And then it's going to get to the point where it's like, we're going to need the space because we can't keep dragging kegs into her apartment.
I mean, you
it's kind of cold in here. It's kind of cold in here.
Yeah, that was the other thing. So before we went to CiderCon, we were trying to like make a batch before we left, and she's just like, all right, well, I don't know what we're supposed to do because it's the wintertime. We're in the Northeast. I would like for her to have heat in her apartment, but that'll like mess up the fermentation. So I'm just like, okay, you have to figure something out because
yeah, it was snow, and I was like, shit.
Yeah. I was like, leave it in your car.
I love that. I love that she's just sacrificing her heat in her apartment.
Right.
Crank
yeah,
it
so
down.
it's not too warm. Yeah, I was like, well, leave it in your car. Leave it in the car.
I mean, I still have it. It still has like about another week to ferment or so. So yeah.
What are you keeping your apartment at? I got to know.
Nothing. There's nothing on. I try to keep my windows open so that it's, around in the 50s, I guess, in here, 40s.
Good Lord.
I love her for it.
Right. I have my blanket right here.
Okay, yeah.
And she's in a t-shirt.
Yes.
I am in a t-shirt. I have my blanket here. So, but it's nice out today. It's really nice out today.
So we heard.
That's what we heard. Yeah, it's 19 here.
The quit line is 18.
19.
It's 18.
Your Apple Watch is different than my Apple Watch.
Your shit said at 19.
Trust
me, it's y'all gonna get that in a couple days. It's fine.
57.
That's what we had yesterday. So
you did?
It was 57. Yeah, the last
tomorrow
couple days.
It'll be 25. So I guess.
Yeah, so it's coming.
I feel like that's a cider name coming. Sacrifice.
Yeah.
Tuesday 17. So yes, it's coming.
So where are you just doing it at your house, or are you guys brewing it someplace else? What's the story? What kind of production are you guys doing?
My apartment.
Home production.
Really?
Home brewing, yeah. Home brewing in my apartment.
Yep.
So
look. Okay, I'm the newbie, right? So what equipment is different for home brewing cider than just home brewing beer?
That's a great. I'm not familiar if the kegs and things are different or anything
I will say this one because I work at several breweries, and one of them they do ciders, and it's the regulations are stupid, right? So you have to have at a brewery to do cider, you have to have a winery, which is generally like a closet,
right,
where you put a fermenter, and it's kind of the same process, but I think it's probably less intensive.
I mean, other than adding a juicer, is it all the same equipment and processing?
As far as I know, yeah. I mean,
we have to do the whole juice part.
Yeah,
so that part is.
So for you to do
that part is tricky, though.
It is.
Yeah, that part is tricky because the juice. You don't want the juice to like spoil. You're dealing with all other kinds of elements with apple juice when it's fermenting itself and stuff. So you can have it do wild fermentation with apples, like that whole thing. Some people don't. Some people like to, I don't want to say kill that yeast, but they kind of stop that fermentation too. It's all different types of things for making cider. I think it's honestly, from what I hear, it sounds like it's harder to make cider than it is beer.
I think a lot of times the issue we run into.
Well, I'm always scared of science. So
is that once you keg it, sometimes once you keg it, it's still doing its thing. And so when we pour it, a lot of times it's super foamy because it's just you can talk it all you want. It don't give a fuck. It's a living organism, right?
Right.
So it's like, I'm gonna keep fermenting. It's fine. Speaking of fermenting, so we have mystery beers on the show, right? So that's the mystery beer bag. It's from a golf course. You can tell. We're not going to talk about that. But in honor of the Cider Jawns, the first mystery beer is a cider.
Oh,
oh wow! I usually don't get hints.
Well, it's going to be totally obvious. So this one, it's very interesting. Nick, you can tell them what it is. This might give you an idea. This is from Shift Brewing, where I work.
Local place.
Okay.
Is that an R?
That is an R. It's my writing on the label.
I'm like, what's happening here?
Red Hot Cider, brewed.
Red Hot.
Brewed yesterday.
Yeah, well, it's canned yesterday. It's a cider with red hots, like the candy.
Wow.
Oh, I want to
excited about
try
this.
that one.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this.
Look,
Right.
I'm gonna take care of y'all. I'll get y'all. I'll send you some ciders from here. It'll be fine.
That
So
sounds
for a
good.
keg or two of
It
cider.
does.
Huh?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm like,
All right, we're gonna move this out of the way.
What's the ABV on it?
Well, we got to play a game.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we play guess the ABV. I know what it is, so I'll let
I
you
did
guys.
hear this one. Yeah, I listened to an episode of yours. So I think
Yeah. So there's that color.
You
it's
might
pretty.
you might lose
Yeah.
points for being prepared.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Sorry.
And it smells like Red Hots.
Oh,
oh,
Yeah.
my
We had
gosh.
a red hot beer from Oklahoma.
Jasmine, you like Red Hots?
is it on along the lines of like a Fireball ish?
Yeah.
Fireball wishes it were red hot.
Yeah. Have you never had Red Hots?
I feel like a long time ago.
Just go get you one and make you.
Are
little
those
candy
little
stores.
balls? The
Yeah,
little
the
balls?
tiny little.
They look like Mike and Ike's, but they're red.
So I
Yes.
like lemon heads, but they're like red.
Yes,
Oh,
but
I
they're
see
red.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like Mike. So yeah, my mom likes
That
them.
might be an idea for a cider. Put some lemon heads in
Somebody-
that shit.
Lemon heads, right?
Ooh, somebody
That
just
would be
did a
good.
Mike and Ike. I saw.
Yeah. So what you think?
Ooh,
Oh, it's fantastic for one, but
Yeah.
as far as ABV,
the smell.
I don't think it's that high.
Okay, give me a guess.
6?
You said that ain't that high. And he went 6. That's high for a cider. You don't think so? What would y'all say? I mean, y'all make
Well,
the
since
shit.
he just said 6, and it sounds like that was 4.5.
Ashley,
I would say around like I was gonna say 6.5, but if you say 6,
Look, I'm always wrong. Do not listen to
oh,
me.
so not listen to you. All right,
You
so
know what?
I'm gonna go a tad bit higher than Jasmine and say 5. I'll give it a
you
5.
should have stuck with your first answer.
6.5.
Actual
Actual retail ABV?
ABV 6.8.
6.5. Oh, see, right. That's what I was about to say.
I
Usually,
was gonna say 6, but then when he said 6, you're like, So I'm like, oh, it's lower than that.
Look, I am never right. I always try to adjust on how I've been wrong in the past, and it just screws it up more.
always try to like 6.5 is like usually the norm where people
Right.
try to like stay at. So that sounds like 6.5. I'll stay safe with that one. But yeah, but you threw me off.
My bad.
That cinnamon after, like it sticks around.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that.
It's really good. I'll have to look. I'll make sure you guys
We're
get
gonna
some.
we're gonna send you some beer mail, cider mail.
Thank you.
So I'm curious if you do like a keg or two,
Mhm.
how much fruit? Like if you're gonna do an apple,
Mhm.
how much is that?
So right now we stopped juicing our own apples because that's
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work. Yeah.
hard on your back and your arms.
It is.
So we've been outsourcing our juice. We get our juice from the Philadelphia home brewing outlet
Mhm.
whenever they have juice, or we might just go to an orchard and buy like gallons of juice
Mhm.
and work from there. So we just buy gallons of juice from either orchards or it's called FO, the Philadelphia home brewing outlet. So we just get it from them. But outside of that, how many gallons? We have a couple of gallons now that's fermenting now.
So what's it been like? Obviously, being sisters, coming into the cider game, because it's
I'm a sip.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. What's
I'm
the
a talk.
reception? What's the reception been like? Obviously, I met you guys.
Oh,
It's been fantastic.
Obviously, I met you. I know you guys were at Barrel and Flow. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's all love there. But in
Mhm.
Philly, and you're coming to a space where, first of all, even like in Kansas City, there's not a lot of breweries actually doing ciders.
right.
So
Right.
normally it's the macro shit that's super sweet. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So what's the journey been like for you guys to come into the space and say, hey, we do ciders and we're two people of color.
It's
Awesome.
been interesting. It's been we prepared ourselves for the worst. And we've been met honestly with the opposite of that thus far. So like we're aware of the lack of diversity and stuff, but I personally have felt like, and actually you could back me up or feel free to disagree, but I was like, I feel like we've been running into people who who want to see that change for the better. And so we've been welcomed and supported, and people have been reaching out to us and been very kind to us. So that's been our experience so far. But we was ready.
Yeah, I don't have anything negative to say about any of the cider people or any of the beer people that we've met thus far. Everyone has been extremely helpful and nice. I'm sorry if y'all hear my dog.
Yeah, we can hear that dog. We was ignoring it. It's fine.
I'm gonna. She wants water, so I'm gonna step off screen for a second.
I mean, you can.
Right. So, but yeah. So no, everyone has been very, very, very nice. Like that's how we've gotten to where we are thus far, because everyone has been extremely helpful. So we don't have anything bad to say about this whole industry thus far. So
I know you guys just went to CiderCon. Tell us about CiderCon and how that was. I guess it's on you, Jasmine.
Flying solo.
The dog needs water. The dog needs water. She gone.
I know. They're so dramatic. Yeah, because they want water. No, CiderCon was amazing. So it was our first time going. And it was exciting because we were asked to be there as media. So we were aware that, there was a little bit of a responsibility on us to like capture and offer commentary and stuff like that. So we welcomed that. And it was amazing. We met a lot of people that we wouldn't have otherwise met. Even though Pennsylvania is a very like farm heavy state, we have a lot of apples that get produced here. So there are a lot of cideries in the state. Philly doesn't have as many as the state, but there's a good community here. But that CiderCon kind of gave us the opportunity to talk to people who are in Seattle, Utah, the Dakotas, like that we might not have met otherwise. And we actually met another Black woman who is brewing cider at Yonder in Seattle. It probably would have took us a while to like physically meet her.
Right.
But we got to meet her and talk to her, and so that part was amazing. The sessions were great. I felt like we learned a lot. And they have, all these different tracks. So there's all different types of people from the industry there, which I also think is kind of dope, is because it's not just for people who make cider per se, but there are like orchardists there and people who are in the marketing side are there. And you get to talk to people who just have various jobs within the industry, and it's a learning experience. It's an education, if you will. So it was great.
It was fun too.
Oh, was
we
it?
have so we're gonna do a CiderCon haul because we got so much free shit. It's crazy. So we have a lot of cans, a lot of cider. We ate a lot of cider. Thank God we drove down, because I don't know how we would have hauled all that back any other way.
Now we learned our lesson from someone told us before to start bringing a cooler.
Yes.
Because you're going to get so much free shit. So it's just like, now we know going forward, we're going to just start bringing a cooler so that we can lug all our stuff that way.
A little more easily.
We even found out about ice cider, which is like amazing.
Oh, is it?
Shout out to Eleanor. Yeah.
We just had a moment right there.
I know.
It's so good. I don't want to like give away.
Well, tell us about this.
So we just learned about it at CiderCon, honestly. Apparently, I think, I don't know, but I'm not sure. But upstate or in Canada, or like near Canada, upstate New York, where it's really cold, the apples freeze.
Oh, yeah.
And so when the apples freeze, I think they juice those apples, and it gives a different type of like taste and sugar. Like there's a lot of different flavors that happen from the apples when it's frozen. And so there's a whole nother process with that. Y'all, when I tell y'all we tasted this ice cider,
gave us a bottle.
We
gave us bottles. We got 2 bottles. We have 2 bottles.
Two people gave us a
my gosh.
bottle. We were like, how can we do this?
I
Like,
can replicate that, yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really, really good. Also, as much as like the industry is, a lot of people have dry ciders, or semi-dry. We like sweet, and let's be honest, Black people like sweet stuff.
They do.
So, we want our cider to probably be on the semi-sweet side, semi-dry, like in the middle. Yeah. I mean, all the ciders I'm drinking now are dry. I like them, but I also have to think about the masses and what other
Yeah.
people would also enjoy. And I know I always try to give a disclaimer. I'm like, all right, you guys, what y'all
Yeah.
are used to drinking, like
Yeah.
Reds and Angry Orchard and all those things,
Mhm.
that's not what you're going to get in craft cider.
So
So,
you're having to fight like the perception of what cider is. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Because like, again, a lot of the macro people are
Right.
like Angry Orchard, you know, all
right,
the woodchuck.
Look, those are
right.
high C for
Woodchuck,
grown-ups.
right.
Yeah,
They kind of look down on it too. I
Yeah.
always liken it to the fight that you have in like the wine industry sometimes, because I used to work for a distributor and would do tastings, and there is this like air of Moscato is not as refined as Cabernet, but it's like, who cares? Like, you like what you add. What I used to always tell people is, they'll say like, oh, like I don't know much about wine, like I don't know, or oh, I like sweet, and I don't know if that's like the thing that you're supposed to like. And I always tell people like, you like what you like, and you shouldn't feel ashamed because this tastes good to you.
right.
And I just feel like we love craft cider. We like dry ciders, we do, but I also like sweet ciders, and you're not gonna make me feel bad about it. And I would like to make a cider that I know that the people that we love and are around want to drink.
Right.
You know, it's almost like the seltzers that are
Yeah.
out, right?
Right.
You know, there's a perception about seltzers, and
There is.
I've been a seltzer hater. I'm just going to admit it.
Me too.
And, you know, and then Boulevard, which is the biggest brewery in Kansas City,
Mhm.
came out with the whatever that the Quirk seltzers.
Mm.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't want to admit it that I liked the fucking seltzer.
He really fought it. He fought it
I
hard.
really did.
That
But I
was
would
me.
I would
Literally.
drink that. I would that. Some of them are okay, but what they did, I don't know what they did. They used real fruit juice apparently,
Mm.
and they're
That's
great.
usually the difference.
You know, and they're great. You know, they don't.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think with everything though, whether you're talking about beer, whether you're talking about cider, seltzers, whatever, it's allow yourself to like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
yeah. So
I mean-
yeah, it's okay. I mean,
And it depends on what you're doing too.
if you're not,
Like if I'm spending a day out at the lake, on the pool, or whatever, like
Right.
I'm gonna hammer seltzers all day long.
exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
I mean, our palate has, expanded as we've gone along this journey. So, I mean, the whole purpose of the Cider Jawns was also to expose people of color and people in our community and urban communities to cider and
Yeah.
let them know that there is a broader
Yeah.
spectrum of cider and what cider is. Like there's flavors, I mean, in the cider community, it's not a set standard of what dry is.
That
right?
part too.
Right.
So like how it is in beer, I guess. So there's that part, but I mean, it's just like we want to just educate people to know, like, right, there's all of these different flavors, there's all of these different like types of cider and we're still learning too. So,
Yes.
as we're learning, we want to share that with everyone too. So that's what the Cider Jawns is. So that's why we're always featuring different ciders and highlighting different ciders and those kinds of things, because we want people to know, like, hey, if you don't like beer, no offense, or if some people they can't have gluten, they can't they have
Right, right,
gluten-free
right,
diet,
yes.
those kinds of things. Cider normally gluten-free, predominantly gluten-free, but so yeah, that would be, and if you can't drink beer, that would be your drink of choice. Or we want you to know that now you have a range of things that you can
Mhm.
drink
Right.
outside of just like wine or
Yeah.
hard alcohol or anything like that. So the cider is very complex and interesting, and that's why we love it. So
You know, it's interesting because one of the breweries I work at, shout out to Tony at Windshift, they normally have 3 or 4 ciders on,
mhm,
and it's funny because the beer drinkers who come in there, he does such weird shit like
Mm.
something with Red Hots.
right.
The beer drinkers are coming and drinking the ciders.
Right. And I think it's fun. Right.
Yeah,
You can
so-
have fun. You can have fun with cider.
Yeah, so
Expand your palate.
it's cool to see the
Right.
people who once I'm like, you need to try this,
Mhm.
and they're like, that's a cider. I'm like, yeah, and then they get excited because it's almost 7%.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Expand. That's
look,
why
the
I always
ABV
say, like,
snobs
oh,
all
we can
need to go away.
refine. I always say refine in quotes because it's like, no, like we're refined according to who? But yeah, there's more out there than what you think.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just people just don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ashley's breaking out the blanket. I saw.
Yeah, you see it, right?
Good. Got to keep that cider happy. Jasmine, what's the temperature in your crib right now?
It's nice. It's nice. I don't live alone, so I can't just commandeer my thermostat, but she can. So I appreciate her sacrifice. It is appreciated.
Listen, when we lived together, our apartment used to feel like hell.
It was a smooth 90 degrees, and I am sorry, but I can't help it. I need to be warm at all times. I
It was
can't.
cool though. We like being warm. So we're tropical people.
So I know you guys are like out there in the game. I know you did the Barrel and Flow. Are you out there doing collabs with other folks, or are you what's going on? Where are you guys out there?
We're working on it.
We're working on some things at the moment.
Trying to see what's
That
going
we'll be happy to share when it's
Breaking
real.
news, but not breaking news.
Right.
Not quite
Right.
breaking news.
The not so breaking news. Yeah. So yeah, we're working on some things, and we're just gonna keep trying to, expand our brand as far as the Cider Jawns and what we like to do, and getting better at our, content and in that space, like media space. Like we love doing what we do on Instagram, and so seeing where we can take that and the spaces that it can take us, and we're just open to. So if anyone's watching or listening to this that was like, oh, they seem cool, like maybe we could do something with them, please call us.
We love doing collabs with people because
Love collabs.
we're still in the learning phase, I guess, because now we're in cider school, so we're learning like technical things and all like that stuff. So
Science is not my jam. We've just entered the science portion, and I'm just like, oh.
We just had a
You're making my skin crawl just
chemistry
saying.
class. We had a chemistry class on Wednesday. Next week is like microbiology or something like
Yeah.
that.
Gross.
So, this is it's intense. But
Well, tell me a little bit about the media side, the Cider Jawns side, and what you're doing with your Instagram account, with your website. I mean, that's pretty cool too, just to be out there pushing, those
The
stories
brand,
and the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got our we're out in the streets with the people. We're trying to be
with the peoples.
So how did that start?
It started more so because we were homebrewing first. So the thing was, we were homebrewing first, and we were like, okay, we could do this, we can do this. All right. And so we were thinking just business minded, like, all right, well, we want to make a cider. This is what a business around cider would look like. And then we kind of had to take a pause because I said, again, we got a little lucky with our batches. We thought we was going to be able to do some stuff we can't do yet. And then we started to think about it. I was like, okay, well, at this, at that point in time, we had gone out to some farms and we had talked to some people, but we felt like nobody outside of the people who know us really associate us with cider. And so we were like, all right, well, why don't we, first of all, we love cider. And so why don't we just have this entire page where we can just dedicate all things cider, where we're learning, we're meeting with people, and it allows us to kind of immerse ourselves in the community. That way, once we're able and ready to kind of launch, not only do we have an audience, but people like, it makes sense. Like people are like, oh yeah, those are the Cider Jawns. Of course they're going to have their own cider. They're the Cider Jawns. And it's also just allowed us to kind of just meet new people. It's been amazing, actually, how receptive people have been
also
to
the pandemic happened to us.
Yes.
To everybody.
Right, to everybody.
The sky fell on the world.
Right. So while we were out going to orchards and getting juice and all those kinds of things, that hit, and juice wasn't as readily available to us. So we had to, pivot and make out the Cider Jawns and try to, now if we can't necessarily make our cider, we would like to highlight the people who can make cider. So that was also like a part of it as well. So yeah.
Are you focusing just on that regional area, or are you telling cider stories all over?
So we you start where you are. So we're in Philly. So we start here, and it's like, all right, well, now that we're able to expand out now because it's been some time. So we're in that process of expanding out and going to places and being able to like travel to to spots, but you have to start at home.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's you know, I always go back to, because a lot of people we've had on this podcast came from Fresh Fest, also known as Barrel and
Yes.
Flow.
Well, yeah.
So, you know, you guys go to that festival. I mean, it just puts you out there in a lot bigger view than you could even imagine. What was that? Was last year the first year you guys went, or?
We haven't even been doing Cider Jawns for. It's been almost a year. We've been the Cider Jawns, right?
Yeah, but you know, going to that event,
the Cider Jawns, but
right, officially a year. So
that definitely puts you on the map. Going to Barrel and Flow.
But when we started the Cider Jawns, I think we were only doing it for a couple of months when we got our collab for Barrel and Flow Fest. So once that happened, like everything kind of like just was like happening like lightning.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a snowball of
effect, right? So like we went to go like feature some people. We went to go feature Bauman, and like
they were at a pop-up in Philly.
Yeah, a week later, next thing you know, they're like, "Hey, would you like to collab for this festival?" And we knew about Jasmine, like brought Barrel and Flow Fest or Fresh Fest to me. It was like, we need to go to this.
Yeah.
And so for us to like now a year later, they're here pouring. Everything just happened like really, really fast for us. So it was kind of overwhelming.
Well, I know what that experience was like for me the first year I went. What was it like for you guys to go to something like that?
It was fun. It was fun for me.
No, it was very much so fun because like we got there. I don't know if we knew what to expect. Yeah. But I know there's a lot of beer there. So I don't know. Maybe my whole perspective was like, all right, so this is a beer festival. Not a lot of people are going to be looking to drink cider, maybe. So we might get a couple of people over here. But I mean, we got through a whole keg. I knew they would drink it. Right, we got through a whole keg and then like a half. So and just from us like talking to people, and then we also got a chance to go around and drink ourselves. So I think we had fun. We had fun. We got to connect with a lot of people.
That's the beauty of that festival. It's
right.
It's not necessarily beer. It's everything.
It's sneaky networking, right?
Oh yeah, it's a sneaky network.
It's like one big happy hour, basically.
It's like
for 3 days.
It's like what it's what LinkedIn would like to be.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And what's really dope about it is because we found for a variety of reasons, but there are more Black people in the beer space than there are in the cider space. And there's a number of reasons for that. And so for us, it was like, our people finally, like, here we are.
Yeah.
Because a cider fest wouldn't necessarily look like that.
Not at all. Not at all. And Day was a speaker at Dave Bracey was a speaker at Cider.
Love Day.
At CiderCon, he was there.
And so even when we were talking to him, like, bro, if we could do something like this with like cider,
it'd be amazing,
right? But we would want it to, be in Philly.
He's a little biased, we guess.
Just saying. But I mean,
I love that's what they're doing is like, and they're open about it. We want people to copy this.
Right.
We want people to take this vibe and make it happen in other places.
Right. And even if it's not just like cider, I mean, me and Jasmine, like, we would like for like this, we just want it to be Black.
Yes.
So, like a Black space. So, but in Philadelphia. So, and then I'm also from North Jersey.
4-hour drive to Pittsburgh.
Right. So I'm from North Jersey. So like up that way too, like I would like to bring something up there too as well. So, I completely understand like them wanting to take this on the road or anything like that. And I mean, there are a few up and coming like beer breweries here and Black breweries in Philadelphia. So it's just like, to connect with them.
Right.
Like Philly's Black brewing scene is like on the rise.
We're coming.
Right. On the rise. So just like if we could do something with that would just be amazing. That's awesome. So like, that is definitely something we're thinking about, I guess. Yeah.
What's my man, Mac Brewing?
Yeah, Mac.
West Philly.
West Philly.
Actually West Philly. Yeah. West Philly. We have two
or wherever his car is. I mean, because he apparently keeps his brewery in his trunk.
Oh yeah.
Now that I didn't know.
Like he just rolls around, opens
Pass,
it, Mac
pass
Brew,
out his
here you go.
beers, dude. Yeah. Gotta love Philly Mac.
And then there's two locals also
Yes.
in Philadelphia, two brothers.
Mhm.
One of them, Rich, also went to St. Joseph's University.
Okay.
So yeah, no, it's a couple of us out here.
Mhm.
There's someone else that does the French toast bites. Who is
Oh,
that?
yes. French
Oh,
toast.
yeah,
bites,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
have,
Yeah.
Young American. She's
And Young American too. Young American is a cider, Young American cider.
Okay.
That's
she's black. She's in Philly too.
they're actually having a Erica Badu's, what is that? Baduism. I
Yes.
think brunch tomorrow. So we're going to that.
Yes, we
Okay.
are.
We'll drink cider and listen to
And listen to Erica Badu and eat.
right. So like right.
Yeah, it's a lot like beer, where it's about you don't know what you don't know until you're exposed to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, that's what we do here. It's like, like our partners that are getting ready to open the first black-owned brewery in Missouri, Vine Street Brewing. Shout out to those boys. They're
We're what, a month away? 2 months?
who knows? Anything that's being built right now is going slow.
That's true.
Let's just go with that. But they're in the historic 18th and Vine district, which is the Jazz district. That's where the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum is. It's gonna open up the doors to a whole lot of people who don't know anything about craft beer.
Right.
Right. And not because craft beer or craft cider doesn't want those people. It's
Right.
just it's
They
never
just
occurred to
don't.
those people to be like they get who they get.
Right.
But
It's literally the other side of the street that's the dividing line, the historic
Right.
dividing line
Right.
of Kansas City.
So it's good on you guys because again, I don't know many black people who drink cider.
Right.
I really don't. But then
And
again,
that's
I don't know a lot.
crazy.
I don't know a lot of black people who drink craft beer.
Right.
And so
Well,
we're trying to change that.
That scene is getting
It's getting better.
It
And
is
to
getting
me,
better.
it's a branding thing. Like you just kind of have to, like he said, like, that was the first time, or maybe the first time in a long time you had been to a festival where the guys didn't look like you. It wasn't like a
No, that's the
protest.
first time.
It was the first time.
Let's be
But I
honest.
think
I
that-
mean,
but I think that when people think of beer, they might just have that picture
That
in mind, and
perception,
it's just gonna take time to, which
Yes.
is one of the other, why the Cider Jawns is why we do what we do, is because, hey, listen, we are here. Because when we went to the Port de Cour, there were black people like drinking there,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
just no vendors.
And we
Right.
know black people
Yes.
clearly that also drink cider. Like they're like, oh yeah, I drink cider. Like when we first
Like
started,
it's-
and that's how like
The club or something. Like we're all
Right.
doing it, but like at the privacy of our homes, like we don't talk about it.
Right.
well, I think that's a
You
big
know
part of the
what?
effort, though, right? Is to open up the industry, whether it's
Right.
brewing, whether it's distributing, whether it's
Right.
ownership. I mean, opening up all of those pieces of the
Right.
industry so that it's
Right.
more representative of the entire population and not just me and my brothers.
Hey, speaking
Right.
of opening up,
You want me to open this?
this is
Are you sure?
this is another Wind Shift cider.
Oh, Dragon Fruit Cider.
Ooh.
Hard
Yeah.
apple cider with dragon fruit.
Yeah, I was working.
Canned a
I
week
was
ago.
working last night, and I thought, you know what?
Word.
I'm gonna represent the Cider Jawns by bringing ciders on the
Yes,
show.
I want
Hit
to.
him with that dragon fruit.
That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
This
I
is
really,
one of their most popular.
Look at that.
I mean,
That-
the
I'm-
Oh, I
color.
want to see the color.
right.
at that.
Ooh, look at that.
That is
Yes.
purple.
Yeah,
Yes.
All right, now you had the ABV right there on the front, so I accidentally saw it.
well, I don't remember what the hell the AB was on this one. So, but
All right, so you're
this
gonna
is
have to play.
this is one of those ciders that people who they come into the brewery and they'll see somebody
good
drinking
Lord.
it and they'll be like, "What's that?"
Right.
What is
And
that? Yeah, sure.
And I'll be like, "You want a little taste of it?" And
That's
next,
nectar of the gods.
next thing you know, they're drinking it.
Nectar of the God.
Nectar of the gods. Right.
Oh, I love that.
So what, Jazz?
I'm
What do you think
jealous.
the ABV on this one is?
I don't know, and I don't. I'm not playing this game with them.
All right.
We've had our first person that says no to the ABV game.
I'll say 6.7.
I'll go 7.
I think from my recollection, I worked there. I should fucking know, right?
Right.
I want to say it's like 5.8.
Ooh.
I give
All
up.
right. The
Quit.
actual retail ABV, 5.5.
I
Mm.
knew, yeah.
But he doesn't win because he went over. This is Price is Right rules.
Right.
So what's the master plan for Cider Jawns? obviously, we go way back to the days in college drinking Parrot Bay.
2006.
Yeah, drink. Back in the days.
Sorry for us olds.
Maybe it's twofold. Thinking back to those days and fast forward to now, where you guys are now, is it surprising? And what's the plan going forward? I'm very interested.
Is what surprising?
That you guys are at this point now. You look back in college, you're like, oh, now we're a cider brand.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because I think we both had different ideas of what our career paths were going to be.
Look at Ashley's face.
Or maybe I did. I thought I was going to be.
I was like, Jazz was going to be. She went to law school, so
yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, like this wasn't the plan at all.
I
I'm on
was
board with it. I'm rolling, but I was just like, oh wow, if I had known
right
back then that I was going to do this, I might not have majored in political science and maybe would have majored in actual science, so that I know.
Science. St. Joe's had food science.
Are you a practicing attorney?
I am not, but I do use my degree. I'm just like, yeah, I'm a contract.
No, I'm just curious.
No, it's okay. Yeah, because I work in corporate, so I don't necessarily have to be a licensed attorney to do the type of law stuff that I'm doing. But yeah, I do have my law degree, and because of all of this, I was like, sit for the bar for what at this point?
It's
okay. You turned from the devil. It's okay.
It's funny.
I was going to be a good lawyer. I was going to be for the people.
My partner in another business I call him a recovering attorney. So,
so our last show, shout out to Jenna Munoz, who's a brewer at
another recovering attorney.
Yeah. Well, she had a practice in everything and was doing the damn thing and decided she wanted to brew beer. Now she's a brewer.
Dang.
Love it.
Right.
We need more people, honestly, because even outside of law, but I feel like I could say this, but like legal people are some of the most like disgruntled people because they're just work a lot. Like this is work long hours, and it's an interesting career path. A lot of high alcoholism. Fun fact. So,
so what's my problem?
Wait, what do you mean?
No, I'm saying you in that whole field. I'm not in that field, and I'm drinking right.
Yeah, but you went to school for marketing, and you do kind of market. You market things.
I do.
Market things. See, you're using your degree.
Cider Jawns is a marketing agency.
It is.
It
especially
really is.
now. So all of those wonderful graphics, that's her, because I don't know how to do that. So
yeah, I do all that.
You got the legalese.
Yeah,
so
she gets to the fun part, and then you get the blame when things go wrong.
No, that's not how it's been working.
No, we work on those things together, though.
So it is surprising. So you guys are kind of both surprised that you're at this point now, looking back where you were in college.
Actually, no,
you're not.
Now
Ashley's not surprised.
It kind of makes sense. Now that we've talked through the journey, it's like actually no.
Okay.
No, I also out of college, I guess I wrote Mona Scott, and I wanted to write Diddy because I had an idea for an alcoholic.
Oh my God, you did! I forgot about that.
So I always knew that I wanted to do something like this. I just didn't know.
Oh, that's so funny! I totally forgot.
So
I totally
that was always like I still have certain ideas that I'm gonna save for us to do, but like to broaden like our products and those kinds of things. But I have always wanted like some kind of like alcohol brand or anything like that. So like,
were you scheming when you were roommates back in 2009, 2010? Were you scheming business plans?
No, we were just trying to graduate.
Get out of there without having to hurt nobody.
Right. We were just trying to graduate. Like at that point. No, that's really what it was.
No, I wish that I could say we were entrepreneurial. Like I feel like these kids
now, yeah,
are just so resourceful and they're business minded right away. I wish I could say that when I was in college, I was thinking like that. I wasn't.
No, we weren't. We were just having fun. And
sadly.
Right.
I totally get it. I mean, so what's obviously now you're here. Mm-hmm. You're a brand. You're getting a lot of shine. You're going to these conferences. You're going to these festivals. What's the plan going forward for the Cider Jawns?
I mean, going forward, We
It's
want to
gonna
have
slowly
a
take
cidery,
over the world.
right?
Yeah.
We want to have a cidery or two.
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Right. We want people. I mean,
Mhm.
short term, we still want to do a couple more collabs. You know,
Mhm.
hone our skills, our brewing skills, so that we can perfect some of our recipes that we've tried thus far.
Mhm.
And then from that, you know, launch an actual like cider brand where people can drink, and then from there open up our cideries. So
Gotcha.
that would be like the long term goal, and be a real brand. Like, you know, I think we know of only one other cider, black owned and woman owned cidery. So like cider brand. So we want to take over. I don't want to say take over, but like right. We
Take
want
over.
to, right. We want after going
World
to
domination. Come on.
after going to CiderCon and seeing like you can count the number of, first of all, there was no black men, right?
Right.
Um,
Oh my God, did we see one? Was Day the only black? No, there were two.
there was two, right? There was two, and they weren't there for like to do cider.
Right.
They were there, like right. So
Media, and he was a speaker.
there were three other black women, I believe, outside of us that were there. So like a handful of us.
Yeah.
That actually brew cider. Now there's a couple, the Cider Jawns, they, you know, they're like cider enthusiasts, and they also try to expose people to cider. The same thing that we're doing with Cider Jawns. So I mean, there are people of color,
Yes,
who are partaking and enjoying cider. It's just a matter of like, it's so out of the 805 people that were at CiderCon, maybe like 10-15 of us were people of color. And
Wow.
and we're saying like, yeah, and I'll say 20 just to be generous.
Round up.
Right. I'll say 20 just to be generous. But out of 805, that's very
That's
telling.
crazy.
So
That's
right.
crazy.
So yeah, no, we want to see that change. And I feel like they also want to see that change. So yeah, and I think they were excited to see us, to meet us, because right, like how you said, like you go to Barrel and Flow Fest and you're like the only white guy there, and it's exciting because it's like, right, other people are enjoying this industry, and it should be that way. It shouldn't just be, you know, one-sided, I guess. So and we met all people from all different well, I won't say people, but we met other folks from other different races other than, you know, black people.
Yeah.
At CiderCon too. So, and they were a part of the, you know, we had a BIPOC meetup. We had a BIPOC meetup, and that's where we got to meet like the other people of color. And I mean, how many of us was there, Jasmine?
She's like, she counting in her head. 1, 2, 3.
No, seriously, like she said, 10. 15.
It was like 20 of us. I'll say 20, because when you think about there was like
some of those people just happened to be at the bar. I don't know if they were
there was like somebody that was like a speaker, and then you have Robbie from the he has his cidery in California, and then you have what's the name of the other cider company? Dang, their cider is good too. But yeah, it was a guy. He was a guy. But right, we met other guys that are people of color that are doing cider. But yeah, no.
Well, I mean,
were you guys at the bottle share at Bear and Flow?
No.
That Friday night.
No, we didn't.
That to your list.
We get there that night. We got there that night.
I think we got there that night. We got there to, you know, second traffic.
It is a magical night. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah.
Well, look, I swear to God, there was a magic table because beer just kept appearing. But so, you know, for a while that night, I don't know if I told you this part. I just kind of stood in a corner for a while. Because for those like me, you know, the liberal white guilt in me, right? Like it was interesting to watch conversations and see things happen that like I only talk about with my friends in hypotheticals. So it was interesting to watch that like real.
And the thing I loved about it was, you know,
and also, by the way, just awesome people and awesome beer for like 4 hours.
Well, and that's the thing, like, you know, you guys go to CiderCon and it's all love, right? You flip it where Nick comes into a mostly black space,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people, when you get people together, I think people forget, I don't know
The
whatever.
bullshit disappears.
The bullshit disappears. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
why it's magic.
He walks into that room, people knew who he was. That freaked the shit out of him.
I'm just a dumbass with a microphone.
Because
people shouldn't know who I am.
we've talked to a lot of people who go to Fresh Fest, aka Barrel and Flow, formerly known as Fresh Fest. But we've talked to a lot of people who are there, and so they may have never met him in person, but it's one of those. It's one of those
That's
things.
why I love craft beer. Craft beer's community.
But you know what? You know what it is though. I'm gonna break it down on the real. When it comes to black folk, when somebody comes into that community that's not black, 100% of the time you're gonna get love. That's just the way it works.
It's not. Yeah.
And I've been in that situation, many a time where I brought a person not of color into a space that's all black, and they embrace them like they don't give a fuck.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so for me, that was my response to that.
Right.
That's why I've always asked them. I'm like, what was that like for you? Because I want to know,
Right.
Because normally it's the other way around, where I walk into a white space.
Yeah, but I think we're more scared.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm the type of person I don't give a fuck.
Right.
No, I think.
But I know people who are black, brown, or whatever who walk into a white space and have some trepidation, and vice versa.
We've had a culture in ourselves of fear, though, right? Like, think of the TV shows we grew up with the '80s.
Fair,
right? Like, hey, when you drive down that neighborhood, make sure your doors are locked.
That's
right. I mean,
that's still some of the shit that happens in Kansas City, and it drives me crazy because I worked in television news for years. And I had this guy from California say, well, I was told not to go east of this street. I'm like, why not?
Right.
That's what I was told. I was like, well, there's families and kids and people. I said, quit. I tell people, don't watch the news.
Right.
Because the news only presents a slice of what's happening. And the news is they're not going to come report on this podcast about, they talked about some really good shit.
Right.
We're not gonna get in the news with this. Sorry.
Look, I am the news, and no, we're not.
That's what I'm saying. He's a reporter, so not a reporter, a journalist. Whatever. Anyway, so we went down a whole different rabbit hole there, did we?
You can just say asshole. But I mean, yeah, it was such a great experience.
I love that festival. I'm gonna drag so many motherfuckers to that festival this year. I'm gonna have like a crew.
As you should.
You know what I'm saying?
And that bottle share, magical. Like beer just appears out of nowhere. It's just like good beer everywhere.
We gotta catch the bottle share.
We gotta catch the bottle share, right?
Yeah,
we just have to plan better as far as our travel days.
And there may be a guy that just walks around with a fanny pack full of bottles of Hennessy.
There was a guy.
I don't know.
Oh,
there
that's the guy for her.
Yeah, it was Hennessy White.
Seriously, fanny pack, and he just pulled out Hennessy White.
He had white girl.
Capture that screenshot right there.
I don't get it.
Yes.
He
was like, you want some
Yes.
Hennessy? He was so cool. That was funny.
And he just walk around.
I love it.
Loved it.
He was like a ninja. He was stealthy with
He
it.
was just sharing his
just
shit.
You'd be talking, and all of a sudden he's just there.
Yes.
Ooh, I need to find out who was this person.
The Hennessy Ninja.
The Henny Ninja.
Yes.
Wow.
Ladies,
that sounds like a good time.
Yes. So we'll see you August 16th.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll be there.
We'll be there for sure.
We'll be there
for sure. It's been a pleasure to have you guys on here. It's been a great conversation. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Keep telling stories.
I'm a big fan. This will get you some
this
love.
Will get you 5 listeners.
Listen, we're gonna send whatever to us too. We're gonna post it.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been to Kansas City?
No.
You need to.
So what we should do is, because I work for several breweries.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Let's work out a collab.
Yes, we would
Come to
love
Kansas
There
City
we go.
and do a collab. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be.
I could put it out right now. I probably got 10 breweries would love to have you guys come do that.
Listen, we are
okay, well, we love to be had.
open to
Yes.
We're gonna make it a bidding.
You know what?
A bidding war.
I'm gonna throw this.
Money goes to charity.
I'm gonna throw this out there because my dudes are opening Vine Street Brewing, the first black-owned brewery in Missouri.
Right.
Vine Street Brewing.
I'm pretty sure they
I don't think they've
have
done a cider yet.
No. So let's work on that.
Right. Let's
a Cider Jawns Vine Street collab cider for their opening, because they don't open till probably spring.
Okay.
Let's
see what we can do.
All right. Let's see.
Because right now they're in collab mode right now. I'm like, let's get it cracking.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm going to broach that to them.
Okay.
And Woody, if you're listening, Woody is one of the owners. I'm like,
Woody,
you're
you're on the clock, Woody.
Yeah, they called your name in Philadelphia, Woody.
Hey, Woody, what are you doing?
Great.
So if people want to follow you guys on social media, where do they find you?
At the Cider Jawns on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Twitter.
On Twitter.
That's Nigel's favorite place.
Don't you guys have a website as well?
So yes, but it's under.
We're working. We're tweaking some things.
Yeah,
got you. But it's out there though.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, all of that. So I believe we have a link tree on our Instagram. So on our link tree Instagram, it'll have everything where you can reach us at. And we'll have merch and all that for people to, if you want to be a Cider Jawn, we're gonna have some Cider Bull stuff for the guys. So yeah, it's a good
Nick,
time.
where can they find us?
You can find the Beers with Nigel program.
Program is now a program?
I just had to promote us. We needed a promotion. It's like going from major to colonel.
The program.
Sure.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow Beers with Nigel on Facebook, the Twitter. Nigel's favorite place is Beer Twitter, by the way.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Beers with Nigel on Instagram when we remember to use Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on it.
We're old, so we're scared of TikTok, so we're not there yet.
Listen, that's the journey. Yeah.
TikTok, to be honest with you. I don't know what's going on with that.
I try.
And if you want to support us as we continue to tell the craft brewing stories around the country, hit beerswithnigel.com. There's a little donate button. Help us continue.
And we have merch as well.
And lots of cool merch.
Well,
okay. Lots of merch. The cool's kind of subjective.
Nah, we have great merch. YouTube as well, by the way.
Yeah, YouTube, or if you are a video snob like Nigel,
Vimeo.
You can go to Vimeo.
Vimeo. Yeah, I was watching.
Yeah.
Well, because he's a video snob.
I am.
He's an actual videographer.
Yes.
Hey, not many people know this. You know what? Nigel Woodbury, you can look up his name on imdb.com. He actually has a listing. That's right.
What?
Nigel Woodbury.
Look, don't put me out there like that,
son. Look, he's Nigel.
You want to
hit that other guy.
You want to hit the button?
Oh, sure. Let's hit a button. Let's finish this show.
You've been listening to Beers with Nigel, a show about beer and other stuff, hosted by Nigel Woodbury and that other guy, Nick Parker. Beers with Nigel is poured for you by Dire Oil Graphics, providing bumper-to-bumper graphic design, promo products, and print services. Find them at direoil.com. Beers with Nigel is a proud member of the Fredcast Network and is available on all of your favorite podcast flavors. Find Beers with Nigel on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and ask Alexa to play the Beers with Nigel podcast.